All right. Let's check this. There we go. All right. So, let's fire this up. Right? We're back. We're live from Raleigh, North Carolina. Taking a look at the weekly candle close, Cinco de Mayo 2019. We have about 7 minutes or so, 6-7 minutes before we get into closing the actual candle out. So that's exciting stuff. All right, we can see a few things here. Just looking at the weekly for what it is. So far, we could tell that we had a pretty significant week as far as weeks can go. Certainly based off of our previous weeks over here with very little activity. We had a nice big candle, 3 weeks and not so much. And then currently this week right here. So overall, things are positive. Coming up. Currently sitting around $566 up, so about 10% in the week. We have not hit our, this is the weekly look, so this is the weekly outlook, and we're looking at a couple MAs that are on here. So blue, orange, green, brown, slate, white, red. That's what the color scheme is, so blue, orange, green, that's 8, 13, 21. Brown is the 55, that's this guy right here. That's what we're just, barring any sort of major moves right now, we would be closing above that. And then we have slate and white, right? Those are the next two big ones. So you got your 100 and your 200. So 200 down here showing weekly support when we did get to our low for the trend so far. Current low. Right now, this is the Finex chart. So on here, the low hit 30, what was that? 32.15 instead of, I believe it was 31.21 on MEX in that ballpark. So things are a little bit different, but overall the idea is the same. We haven't been up over our 100 since the initial drop, right? So this was the initial tank. This goes back to November. And that's what dropped us down 12% in 1 week. Pushed it down to a low of 54.32. Which we're currently trading above. However, that being said, we have not even come close to hit our 100 right here. So our 100 right now is sitting, let's say, 65.05. This would be an ideal area of resistance upon first touch, which is what we would be looking for in the weeks to come, is to trade up to and then find resistance at. And then push that back down to previous structure highs. So maybe somewhere around 52 ballpark if you're going to retest this area right here. If you were with me last night, we did talk about the possibilities of coming down and retesting this structure because of that big, massive vacant hole we left right here. So that's also a possibility, coming all the way down to anywhere from like 43 to 41. That's, that is a possibility. So keep that in the back of your head. But as far as MAs are concerned, these are pretty well respected, at least on the first touch. We can usually see some sort of reaction. We can go back in history. Now, it only just makes it on the Finex chart. So it's a little difficult to, judge historically. But when we did come into it, the very first run, it was denied, pushed back down pretty significantly. So you hit a high of 505, right, and brought it down to a low of 300. So you don't want to call it 50%, maybe 60% loss. But it did come right back, right? You were able to push up past it, not make another high, so that's the swing failure, but come down and then find support on it, right? So that's good. Overall, that was all good. And then ever since then, it's just been support, right? So these touches right here were all support, and then we haven't been anywhere near it. We haven't needed to because of that big run. It opened up the doors for a big, massive gap. So for this thing to come down and then just barely touch it. What would have been nice first run would have come down and find a little support, which I guess we could kind of say it did in some regard, but not really. It sort of blew right through it without too much hesitation. So that being said, something to look at while you're looking at the weekly. It's always good to just get some type of perspective. Let's throw this on the 24 countdown. We got 3 seconds. Paint this candle. And it looks like that should be it. All right, so while that's loading up, let me just scope something out real quick. All right, Snow, good morning. Carlos, good morning. Loud and clear, thank you. Wallbanger, like numbers, very good. Very good. Wallbanger's in the house, everybody, and he likes numbers. So, now that we have painted our candle, let's take a look at what we're actually dealing with here. So, yesterday's candle was a bearish candle, down $56, opened at $60.98, hit a high of $61.12, a low of $59.56, closed at $60.41. Now, again, this is the Finex chart. This is not the MEX chart, so we are not trading that high on MEX. I don't think we're anywhere even close to that. We should be in the 57, 58 range. So I'll pull that up in just 1 second. Let me just clear this. All right, let's just take a look at structure real quick on the daily. I know we touched on this last night. We're going to continue to touch on it because it's right here in front of us. But overall trend is, you got a low, you got a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So we're definitely within our specs of trend. Let's pull up that weekly again and see what we're looking at. Weekly showing us large move. 4 weeks ago, we had a nice large move. 3 weeks of indecision, while all the while climbing up just a little bit here and there. Nothing overly drastic, but we were able to approach this level and close above it, which was a big deal last week, right? 2 weeks ago. Last week's candle did give us a $554 candle, up 10%, right? So opened at 54.83. We had a high of 61.90, a low of 53.65, closed it out at 60.41. Now let's pull up the MEX chart just so we can get numbers out. Don't look. Stop. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, you don't want to see what's in my head. It's a disaster. Okay, so as far as MEX is concerned, it was about an 11% candle, 10.91, 562. But here's the big difference here: the high 58.50. Right, we haven't breached into the 6K mark just yet. Not on MEX. Low of 50.60, so about an $800 trading range. Closed it out at 57.15 with the original open of 51.53. So overall, it was a nice candle, right? 562 up on the candle, just about 11%. But again, look how differently things look when you see that, okay? So it is different. So let's put on our MAs again and just get an idea of what we're looking at here. So when we see this, all right, this is how different these charts are. Look at where resistance came in. I mean, perfectly. Look at where resistance came in, right here. Right, that's the 50. Blue, orange, green, brown. So 8, 13, 21, 55, really. So 50, 55, right here. That's exactly where we found resistance on our weekly chart. All right, so that's something important to keep in mind. And we're trading right now right above it, right? Just because where it lands on the actual chart is that's what you're going to see. A few weeks ago, you did get the crossover. You got a few crossovers over here on the lower ones. So all that is good. And then you have your slate coming in here, right? And this would be your 100, right? We don't have enough data on the MEX chart to actually pull in a 200 week, but we do just barely have enough to pull this in here, okay? So we do have a bearish cross right here between the 55 and the 100, 55, 50, 200. That's where you get your golden and your death from. So although this is a big deal, it's not that big of a deal. And the idea is, anyway, we do need to correct this or right the ship. So this does need to work its way down, while this does need to work its way up, while price stays above it. That's the ideal situation in an uptrend, is that all of these will be in their correct order: blue, orange, green, brown, right? Slate, white, red, okay, and then yellow. But anyway, all that being said, that I just want to show you the difference between the MEX and the FinX, and you can see all those differences too if you pull up a Trex chart or OK Coin or Brave New World. I think last time we were on the Brave New World, the BLX. Just showing like an index of, how different some of these charts can be. And when you mentally look at something like 6K, 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 okay, well, maybe on one exchange, but certainly not all the exchanges. Now the mark on here is 65.13. I believe the other one was 65.05. That's the area that, I can reasonably see price come up that high and still expect a reaction to the south side. All the way down to, let's say about 4K. Anywhere between 4 would be the top of these bodies right here. So anywhere between 4 and, even if we just barely touch the top of this one, 41, we call it 42. So anywhere between a 4 and a 4.2. And I don't say that to scare anybody. I say it just to keep things real. That is a very real, possibility. Come back down, retest structure, right, and push back up again, and the second time break through. Can we just smash right through it? Sure, you absolutely can. Are you going to come back down and retest it after you smash it? Probably. You probably will, but not always. Not always. We could wake up tomorrow morning and this thing could be sitting at 50K. Who knows, right? TA don't work. That's what they say. No, but those are very real observations, right? So you don't have to use MAs. You can just use range as well, right? This area of range that we were in for a very long time. This area of support. This whole zone. Right, now that we've flipped it and now it's resistance, you would imagine we might have to knock on that door a few times before they let it open. So these are just things to keep in mind as you trade not only the majors but also the minors, because they will be heavily affected by very large movements, as I'm sure anybody who's trading crypto can see. All right, let's take a look at a few things over here. ETH, USDT, Binance, sure. Miguel, good evening. Paul, what's going on? How am I? I'm okay. How's your move? It is all right. Thank you. SNT, Tron USD, Ricky Thompson. Did you get your hardware fixed? I can actually watch today. Sorry, I kept getting a spinning window for a month. No hardware is fixed just yet. It is a new setup. We are now live in Raleigh, so things are a little bit different here. Did change a few things around with the computer, the desk, the setup, the mics, the whole 9 yards. So there's some different things, but no, we're not at full. Don't mind all that noise. We're not at full capacity yet. That will come hopefully in June. So, bear with the stream. It is behaving. We did a little test last night and it seemed to behave fairly well last night. So, looking for it to continue, hopefully, to hang on tight for another month or so. And then then we won't have to worry about any of that nonsense at all. All right, so ETH, USDT, Binance. Yes, let's take a look for Wall Banger. Let me clear this up over here and let's see what we got going on. All right, so last time we looked at this, we painted ourselves a little bit of an ascending triangle. Nothing too crazy. It's more of a rising wedge. Whoa. Hello. Interesting. All right. I'll deal with that later. So, more of a rising wedge than we do have an ascending triangle, but however, the mentality behind it is the same. I wonder if we might want to adjust these now that we do have some more data. Anyway, when you look at patterns like this, you do want to see them happen between 50 and 75%. As sort of your pattern is valid. And this is just by eye, but I mean, like, this zone is where you want to see the breakout, right? If you don't see the breakout in that zone, consider the pattern weaker and weaker and weaker until you get to the end of the pattern, and at which point it's completely invalid. It's just no longer a pattern, all right? If we did want to adjust this based off of our new candles, then we could do something like this. And this will sort of encapsulate this high up here. Does leave this big gap over here, so that's not great. Does leave the big gap. It does respect the lower trend line a little bit more so. So if we were to keep this here, then we're still within the range of our 50 to 75%. And again, just eyeballing it, I would probably call this 50%. And I don't know, 75% somewhere around this ballpark. Just basically cut it in half again. And then that's your optimal area where you would be looking at this thing breaking out. So if we left our original rising wedge on there, we could see like we had a small breakout and then it was a failed breakout and then came all the way back down. All right, but holding the lower trend line is beneficial for this pattern. It's also beneficial just for the trade. Now look at what we're coming into right here. Resistance, right? This is historical resistance that we had from, well, really from this candle right here, right? This was the testing point on the way down. So we tested this level, came up, traded for a few days, or a few weeks, so about 2 months before coming down and breaking it. All right. Now again, this is on the weekly chart. So let's throw the daily chart on. We get something a little bit more detailed and get a closer idea on what we're looking at here. So again, I think I was telling Wallbanger before, it's trading very similar to Bitcoin, right? It has you got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, you got a higher high, you got a higher low, you got a higher high, you got a higher low. So you're within trend, right? And again, anything within trend wants to stay in trend. That's what it wants to do, right? It's more difficult to reverse course than it is to just stay within trend. Now, that being said, within trend also means you're going to have these pullbacks, and they're allowed to go, as far as your lower low, and then you're out of trend. Then you're invalidated, right? It's no longer a trend at that point. Now you got to double bottom, and you got to see if you get a reaction. I would have liked to seen a little bit more respect on this horizontal, right? But that being said, the horizontal is baked out of one level right here. So, it's only that we tested it that one time. It's not like this was a magnificent end-all be-all level. Really, that level would be further up here where the cursor's at, because it was touched 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So a little bit more important of a level right there than this level right here. And in fact, just for today's purposes, let's just go ahead and do that. All right, so we moved our level up here so that we much more of a reaction in that zone than our Hail Mary shot in the dark down here. So what does that do for this? Well, not much. It just shows that we approached it and then came back to it. Now, when you look at things like this, you look at patterns within patterns, or at least I do. You do have something cooking over here, right? You got a bit of this happening. So you got a little bit of a channel that's trying to form based off of these highs right here. So a little downward channel, right? You would like to see the break here. You want to see a reaction on the rising wedge, on that trend, in order to push up past that. So painting yourself something like this just gives you a more local target, things to look for within the day, within the next day, within the next 4-hour candle, that type of thing. But you know, based off of how this has been reacting, you could long support, right? And then you could sell resistance if you wanted to, especially if resistance were to couple with this horizontal. Then it's worth taking a look at as far as longs and shorts. But I mean, that being said, that's, you know, we're still within trend. All right, we are coming up on a key focal area. I think this horizontal better represents price before the fall. So I think this will do a little bit more for us, at least on a TA standpoint. Yeah. That was actually, this is a great reaction right here on a pre-trend. That's fantastic. Look at the way it reacted on the flip side. Right, pushed it down, massive push down, right, and then a 1, 2, 3, and came up, got nailed, and then look at that catapult move right here. Almost sat for sat to the tip of what broke it. That's good. That's great. I like seeing trends like that play out because they do help the trends we draw today, right? They could come into play easily, you know, over here somewhere, July, you know what I mean, December. They tend to, you know, price will tend to respect old levels as we approach them again in some type of meaningful manner, which is just bizarre. But if you could really narrow in on how often that happens and the type of reactions you get, you know, you could do fairly well. As far as MAs are concerned, let's just take a quick look. I just want to see where the daily's sitting at for this little mess over here. Let's see. So all the lower ones, they're dancing back and forth. You know, you just had a blue-orange crossover, so 8 and 13 crossed over bullish. That's good. That happened yesterday. However, you are heavy resistance from the 21. Let's see. All right, you still have support at the 55. 55 working over here. Look at that, putting in some work. 1, 2, 3. This one, not so much, but definitely these two putting in work for support. That's good. And we do still have our 200 above our 100. So it's not that it's concerning. It's that does need to correct itself. But we did get our golden right here, right? So this is 5,200. 50, 55, 200. Crossed up above our 200. Right, so that's that brown. And that's the white. Now, some people, there's strategies out there that just use just that. And they might trade, you know, 3 times a year, depending on the asset. But they'll buy the golden, they'll buy this, all right, and they'll sell the death. They'll never catch the top and they'll never catch the bottom, and they don't care. They don't need to. They're not heavily focused on the markets on a day in, day out basis. They literally look at the chart once, twice a month and just see where they're at in respect to it, and then that's it. So for them, they would have taken this trade back here. Even though these are lagging indicators, all moving averages are, right? You can still get a sense, just an overall bias, right? You just get an overall sense of like what's happening. So for them, for those types of traders, they'd be looking at a chart just like this, right? With nothing on it, literally nothing on it, just MAs. And they would take a quick glance and they say, oh, all right, we got our cross. They get signaled, right? We got the cross. They take a look back. Yeah, we're clearly within trend. That's fine. They'll buy it. They'll buy it right here. They don't care about this. They expect that the next time it crosses to the death cross, right, they'll be within profit. That's all. That's it. All right. They would have gotten signal right here to sell. All right. So they would have, let's see, they would have saved themselves a little bit of heartache, right? So let's say they sold here. And let's say that was the bottom drop. They would have saved themselves a loss of 86%. Even if they did nothing and held on to it till today, they would have saved themselves 73% in losses. Right? That's fantastic. It's not bad at all. Now, you'd like to get that on the other side as well, right? You'd like to buy it, you know, you'd like to buy it down here. Let's see where they would have bought. So if we're looking at the crossover, let's say they would have bought right here. And this is just, you know, hopeful, right? But they wouldn't be expecting anything less than the 236. 173%. Right? I mean, that's great. That's great. 173%. For basically a set it and forget it type strategy, right? You don't do anything. You see the cross and you buy, or right here you sell. So in other words, they you know, ETH you could short as well. They could have just shorted this. You short it, keep shorting, keep shorting, keep shorting, keep shorting, keep shorting. Oh, right here, flip it to a long. Long it, long it, long it, long it, long it. Hit your 1.7. Right? Sell. Or whatever. Stay in it until the next cross. Anyway, alright, so I probably spent a little too much time on ETH, but that's what I got. ETH USDT is in trend. Alright, let's take a look over here. Let's see. SNT. I don't know what SNT is. Let me take a look at this. SNT. Oh, status. Alright. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, it looks terrible. How about that? Is that what you wanted to hear? If that's what you wanted to hear, then you're hearing it here first. It looks horrific. This looks terrible. Why are we looking at this? This is terrible. Just making new lows. Making new lows. Big time lows. Let's see. We got a horizontal at 322. We broke our zero line, right? We broke our support level right here. So I suppose we'll have another support level right about this zone, 344. Ideally though, 322. I don't see any reason why this thing is going to turn around. It certainly looks like it's happy just falling off a cliff. I know, this would have been nice. Yeah, that would have been nice, but no, we never broke out of range. In fact, we broke below it. Yeah, this looks terrible. I'd say 322 is where I'd be headed with this thing. I don't see any reason for this to turn around before that. And we can drag our little range guy over, right? We were in range for 254 days before breaking below it. That's not really accurate. Call it 253 days. Then breaking below it. I don't want to call this a range just yet, and we didn't really sit there long enough for me to get excited about it, so I'm not. And we can get rid of this for now. We have a new global low based off of trend. So we'll just simply update that for now. But yeah, there's nothing to do with this until it reverses. And I don't see any reason why it would at this point. Volume's down, price down, that's good. Expect a reversal at some point, but yeah, this thing's got nothing. Nothing on SNT. All right, what else we got? Tron USD. Tron USD. All right, let's take a look. Tron USD. Finex, I guess. I mean, we got a chart. Might as well take a look at it. All right, so let's see. Tron. Yup. Okay, rejection. Down. Support. Double bottom. Push up. Higher high. That's good. Breakdown. Got higher low and consolidation in this range right here. All right. So overall, it's very similar to what we did back here. Although this had a higher high and this was a lower high, so it was more of a swing fail. But you have these areas. Tron just has these areas that they like to trade at. Right? These little areas of accumulation. Accumulation. Right? Accumulation. This whole thing is accumulation, and this is accumulation, and so is this, and so is that. So Tron doesn't like to make these big moves and then respect pullbacks. It decides that it wants to hang out there for an extra few days before it makes its next big move, which is fine. You just have to be aware of that when trading it. So right now, currently, what we're building here is at least the idea that you do have a higher high and you do have a higher low. Outside of that, not much. Now you do have, whatever. You got about maybe 8-9 days. You're trending upward. You are going to pop into resistance, let's say starting around, what is that, 025 ballpark, right at the top of these wicks. You'll hit a little bit of an area of resistance, and that's fine. Overall, it looked like you tried to make a bit of a cup and handle. That didn't work out so well. That's something to be aware of. Yeah. I mean, that's about it. That's really it. I mean, you could see a couple patterns that might. I'm trying to see if it's even worth drawing these. Let's see. No. So, like this area right here seems significant. All right. So I would look to toe this line as far as if it were to come back down. I would look for support again here. I think you find support before you broke it. If that's the case, maybe range trade up to this next horizontal. It looks like that's at least an area that has been fairly well tested. So not that it's like a super safe bet, but it's an idea where you could at least do a little range trading and really find support on one zone, find resistance on another zone, and then just allow the trade to happen, just allow the range to happen until you see otherwise, right? So with this being, let's just say this was something to look at here. Let's just say something similar to this, right? If this was your trend, right, that you were finding resistance on, and then you had another trend below that that you were finding support on. So we can't get a good parallel out of that, but what we can do is this. So I think I'd rather be more so on these bodies. Something a little bit more like that. Alright, I'm just kind of doing this by eye, but you know, I like to capture a couple wicks in there, but really concentrate mostly on like the price action of the bodies, or just the overall feel, right? The overall look of the trend, you know. And if it is a trend that seems like it's been respected, right, then I hold a little bit more weight on it. So let's say this is what we were looking at. And blow this up a little bit here. All right, so resistance, support, green, support, green, resistance. This gives you a playing field, right? This gives you like a playbook that you can now, you know, do something like this on. Let's say you wanted to do this. Okay? This is one opportunity. Or this. That's another opportunity. Let's say it were to come down. You could set buy orders. Right? Or you could set buy orders. Right here. You know what I'm saying? So you can find support here. If it breaks, at least you got a secondary. This breaks, you got to get out of the trade. Come up, you find resistance, right? Let's say you sell here, but you don't sell all of it. Let's say you sell 75% of it. And then it comes up here and you sell the other 25%. All right. Let's say you go short up here. All right. You're in the trade. You're coming down. That's what you would want. Let's say you take it short here or here. You have to be okay with it coming all the way up here and adding to your short. Right? Before you get to move back down here. So those are just ideas for Tron. I would say Tron for right now looks healthy for continuation to the upside. It doesn't appear that it's gonna lose this level anytime soon. Of course it could, but I mean, it looks okay for now. All right, so SFT, Tron, USD, yes. As long as you can do your daily update, we'll be happy. That's awesome. Thank you, Ricky. All right, RCN. All right, let's take a look at RCN. RCN, BTC. Okay. RCN. What has RCN done in the last few weeks here? All right. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have a range on this. Huh. All right. Well, let's put one on. Let's say our top side range. Let's see. Suppose this would make the most sense. And we already have our bottom side range. Let's go ahead and make that a little orange. All right. So, looks like we dropped down into range. Nothing too crazy here. Let's say we pushed in right about here. And we are still in range. All right. So, about almost 300 days in range. We pushed down, found excellent support down here on these levels, somewhere in the 282 ballpark. Worked it all the way back up, top of range. Great, came back down, probably for about a 50% loss. Pushed all the way back up again. Big, massive move up top. Huge failure, came back down, all the while still trending upward. Finally broke, closed up above, came down for an instant fail. All right, didn't push all the way back down, instead tested the top of this prior range. So you can see where the cursor lands right here. That's about the top of these candles, the majority candles. right? So tested previous structure, that's good. Came back up just past the median line of range, pushed all the way back down, found support on this level once again, only until it broke it, dropped back down, found support on its original support level back in range. Came back up, tested about the 50 line, dropped all the way back down for a double bottom, big slow bleed for a triple bottom pushed way up, right? So now we had this big move right here, big huge move, nice pullback, big huge move, nice pullback, all the while still closing below range. Big push up, wait for it, drop down for the retest, that's good. Didn't quite get the next push we needed. Now remember, when we push up like this, and you're going to do the close and retest, if you have a candle that already made the move, that's your mark, right? So we didn't get that mark. Where are we at here? Horizontal. Right? You need that. You need to close up over that. Now that you painted it and failed it, right, we need to close up above it. So all of this is just an attempt, but it's a failed attempt. All the while still pushing up. Now we're trading up above it. Failure, 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 failure. 4 failures all basically in the same week, all on that same line. Still failed to close up over our previous attempt. Looks like we stuck with this horizontal 602 for a little while. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Flip it back and forth. Now here we go right here. Finally, you got a candle pushed up over, closed above, and then you had a consistent 1, 2, 3. So 3 soldier down, or 3 black crows down, right? And that gave us another low. Retested this area on the horizontal, and then found resistance again on this same line. So again, we can't trade this just yet. Push back down, flip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back into range. Again, here we go. So now you sort of reset the clock. You kind of raise this bar up here now, which is even more frustrating, right? So now you closed up above, right? You failed again. So now you have to wait for a close up over here with a proper retest and a push above whatever candle that leaves. Then you're back into it. For now, there's not much doing except high risk trades. And of course you could trade this all day long, but these would be high risk trades. Now there is one thing to note with this particular asset is these moves are pretty significant. 38% candle, 23% candle, 28% candle, 24% candle. So this is one of those deals where if you get, if you get on the right side of it, you could push a 49% candle, today, right? You just have to have your sell targets in place to actually capture it. And even then, all the big moves do happen to see like they come in on the upside, right? These are all upside big moves. No big downside moves. So that is a bonus for sure. You could trade this in a way where you could try to capture the big upside move and then just get out quick. Don't worry about staying in a trade like this. Just pull it out. Let the slow bleed happen. Wait for your next big pop. Capture the big pop so you can put your sell targets up in the 25, 35, 40% zone. And then, unfortunately, you're kind of crossing your fingers if you are going to get hit or not. But it's an idea or at least a strategy to trade. Although, highly unreliable, but it is what it is. All right, so that's RCN. RCN, let's say QKC. QKC, Bun Sofiknik. I'm just going to call you Bun. What's up, Bun? Hector, what's up, buddy? QKC. Let's take a look at QKC. QKC, BTC. All right, let's say QKC. What do we got here? Quark. Man, Quark's looking worse than SNT. Jeez Louise, what are you guys doing? All right, so as far we had a nice ABCD here that was good. Swing fail, dropped us down, not able to capture or close up over to swing fail until all the way over here. Finally, at the same time, broke out of range, which was good. Dropped back down into range, so it ended up being a fail and lost support on range right here on the 20th. Came back down, dropped below, got a proper retest to the downside. Push back down even lower. So this line, proper flip, thanks. A proper flip from support to resistance. So this will be interesting when we come back up to it eventually. I would imagine we would eventually come up to it, although, you know, maybe not. Who knows? All right. So this was shorter range, 83 days in range before it lost everything. Came back down, proper retest, push back up. We got 1 day of stagnant trading, which was right here yesterday. And today we're currently selling back off again. This is a good level, or at least right below it is a good level. This level right here. The better level is this one right here. And that's based off of this candle right here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right there. Okay, that's based off of your swing low candle, push back up, and that's also your retest, right, for the drop down. And that ended up being your support candle, which started this trend, right? This trend, which has simply been exhausted now, right? Failed. So, all that being said, I would expect to see this thing come down to 365 minimum. If it finds support there, it's good. If not, next level would be 304. After 304, now you're looking at, you know, extensions and you know, Hail Marys to figure out where this thing's actually headed. But, you know, it could go as low as it wants. It could go to 1 sat. But we're not talking craziness right now. Let's at least talk one level at a time. And my level on this would be 365. So we hit down at 365. I would wait for reversal, some type of reversal to at least put the confidence back in to reversal trend. And then you'd have to play it very carefully, one level at a time, one target level at a time, because these do tend to be very finicky. They could easily suck people in for 2 days thinking it's trend and then knock them down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive days. All right. So that's what it looks like right now for Quark. I'd be looking at 365. 365. All right, let's see here. What were you looking for? A buy target SNT. Okay. We already looked at that. Link. All right. Well, we had a nice broadening wedge over here, and we had a pretty nice descending triangle. And this is perfect, actually. So this is exactly what you want to see when you got these patterns, right? This is great. So this is a descending triangle, came down, right, broke to the south side, came back up for the retest, pushed, and then you lost it. That's perfect. We were looking for a buy target on the 618, so 7602. We have not quite hit that just yet. It looks like we did find support right here. Oh, previous structure. Ugh. Yeah. So we got a little bit of support right here. Previous structure showing us kind of like your swing high, a little bit higher than our swing high. Very interesting level. That's got to have some history to it. No, I don't see much. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, well, in any event, that's where we're at, right? So, what do we got here? 81.18. Yeah, just not. 81.18 is right here. No, I mean, nothing's sticking out. It's a level for whatever reason. I don't see a reason for it to be a level, but hey, that's fine. I mean, you could play off these, but I mean, I think that's a little picky choosy. For me, I would just say that it found a level for whatever reason. It's got a triple bottom right here. Push back up, failed to get over to 5. I'm still not opposed to it coming down to the 618. Yep. I don't see any reason or any indication that the 50 is going to break and flip to support. Overall volume is garbage. Much trading in this particular area. If you just look at where the trading is happening, it evens out with a lot of these open areas right here. Like this whole open area, this is just a blast through, This is just wicks. This is just wicks. This is all open area. It's interesting that there's so much accumulation there. No, I'm not changing my mind here. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with 7602. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. I can always reassess at a later date, but this is what I see. I see what I see. 7602, that's what I think. I think we're at least coming down to test 7602. If we do find support on there, it could very easily look like something like this. We could just get a wick down, slap in, get your buys, and come back up. But again, you are still going to have resistance at the 5. Now we have seen coins like this they'll find support at the 618. They'll blast through the 5. Right? They don't even bother because they sat all this time at the 5. They'll blast through and they'll find resistance at the 382. We've also seen when they blast through to 5 to 382, they stop at the 236, come all the way back down to the 5 again. Almost like a big giant flip. So all those possibilities are on the table. But I do think 7602, I think we see this. I think we see 7602 in the next, what do we go? Like the next 10 days. All right. That's what I got. That's what I got. All right, let's see. Oh boy. All right. Let's see what we got here. ZIL USDT. Yeah, we'll take a look. When BTC is dropping, people would switch to a stable coin to protect their gain. Is there any coin other than a stable coin gains in value as BTC drops? Well, DGD, yeah, they did for probably about 6 months. They don't do that anymore. Let's take a look at ZIL USDT and then we'll talk about that. All right. ZIL, Tether. Yikes. Alright, so we did just paint ourselves a new all-time low. And then we came back up and now we're trading just above our previous all-time low right here. Alright, so look, we're gonna have to do some stuff here. Alright, give me 1 second, let me take a look at this. What do we got? Okay. All right, that's cool. Let's get some levels across the board here. All right, so then that level is pretty important. That level is pretty important. And I'd say that level is pretty important. Outside of those, everything else is just a little bit whatever. All right. Overall trend we could see is to the downside. We do have our high. We have a lower low. We have a lower high. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, so clearly we're within trend to the downside. We do have a few things of interest over here, right? So this zone right here that all got wicked out at some point on a daily. Now we're trading. We're trading in that zone, which is very interesting. So this area here, which generally, let's see, right to the wick. All right, so this is how this chart would look had we been trading it, or at least tracking it more so than we already were. All right, so as far as that's concerned, to find trading now in that zone it's not that it's unusual; it's that we've never done it before on this particular asset. So that sort of lends its hand into saying like, yeah, it's not really over yet. It could very easily drop further and further and further. So, of those moves, I dropped to the 0.02, 0.05, 0.068, and the 0.1. These would be the levels down there. Those aren't extension levels. It's just something new I've been playing around with. So, don't use them. I'm still sort of analyzing. I'm testing some things. So yeah, don't use them. All right. Anyway, let's see. Trend wise. All right. So we stepped away from trend for a little while. I hate doing that. 'Cause then it's like you sort of have to do something like this. And it's just so sharp. It's just so sharp of a trend. Yeah. But, you know, it kind of is what it is. All right. So... all right, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. But we'll call it a falling wedge for now. I don't like it. Sorry. It's out of here. Gone. Gone. All right. Let's see. Let's measure this drop, right? So same thing we would normally do for, anything else. We're going to drop, just like if we were trying to go long with it, right? We would do something like this. And we say, all right, we had our high, we had our low, and then instead of a pullback, right, we had a retrace. So we retraced it back to the 5. Great. So from this area right here, what do we have to look forward to on the downside? That's essentially what we would be looking at, right? So then we're just like, all right, well, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to measure this out to the downside. And where do we find support? Right on the 1618. That's great. Unfortunately, the next stop would be the 2618. It's all the way down here. So 1234 is what I would be looking at. All right. In that ballpark, at least. We can even straighten that out, make it a little bit neater. Something like that. All right, so based off of previous moves on the retrace from, which is what, all-time high? So all-time high down, push back up again. All right, if you're looking at target level 1 reached to 1618, right? Clearly you got your 1 hit back. Your 1618 target level was reached, tested, pulled away, retested, right? Next level 1241, which is clearly, a new all-time low. Which again, no one's happy to hear new all-time lows, but it sort of is what it is. Not here to tell anybody what they want to hear. We're just here to take a look at things and see what we see, right? You don't want to have, I mean, as a trader, right, you don't want to, like, have a bias, in my opinion. You just want to see what the chart's telling you. If the chart is telling you, hey, you know, whatever, then it's whatever. If the chart's telling you something else, then that's fine. If you're fighting the chart because you have a bias, then you're, in my opinion, you're trading all wrong. You don't ever want to trade a chart to a bias. It doesn't make any sense. All right, it goes against you in every way, mentally and whatever. That is fantastic. That's coffee right there. That's delicious. One thing we can see though, which is nice. Let's see, for the bulls out there. This is good. Okay. Volume consistently down while price is consistently down. Generally, that means, you know, you'll get some sort of push up, a nice reversal play. But again, that might not happen for quite some time. Yeah, there's like no history on this thing. At least not in its tether pairing, unfortunately. So let's see. Yeah. Sorry. You got nothing. Nope. Nope. So again, if this support level holds, right? So if 1559 holds, which it has so far, if 1559 holds, then you're looking for a push back up out of this range. Now you need to get up over whatever this line is. Why is that not showing? It should show up right here. That's weird. 16, 18. Wow. Look at that line. You see that line? That line is the 1618. 1618. That's awesome. And it's almost the 1618 of the move, right? 1632, 1618. Pretty damn close. That's just an awesome little coinkydink. Anyway, if this level does not hold, so in other words, if you see trading down here, you're closing down here, this is my target, 1241. And again, you don't really necessarily want to buy this, right? Because it could easily go all the way down here, 850, 609, 1, wherever 1 is. So yeah, you don't want to buy it. You just want to keep an eye on it for reversal or possible reversal, and then sure, you want to play the ping pong game between zones, rock and roll. If you want to go long to the new all-time high, that's fine too. Whatever your trading style is, but yeah, I'm looking at this level right here. If this does not hold, then this is my next target zone. All right, that is all right. So yeah, we'll do that. You're welcome, Bun. You have a great day, too. All right, so we'll do storage. What? Storage to 5,000? What? We'll take a look at storage, and then that'll be the last chart of the night. And I'm sticking to that. This go around. I do mean it. I got a lot to do. All right, storage. Anyway, yeah, so when it comes to like the polarities of Bitcoin to DGD or Bitcoin to Doge or Bitcoin to what were the other ones way back when? Bitcoin Gold. That I don't know that there's anything currently except maybe BNB or BET. That seem to take less weight on Bitcoin's movements into play as opposed to other alts. If there are other ones out there, then yeah, for sure, list them, and you can always hedge using those against BTC on current moves. That's always a possibility for sure. All right, so anyway, what we had was down here. All right, so down here we had a huge move up. We were looking at probably the pullback play, which would have been, let's see, from this guy down here. So we did get support at the 786 for a good long while. We pushed all the way back up again. We created a swing fail. This is interesting because this is a swing fail that when we came back up, closed and retested, and ended up failing. Man, that's terrible. That's terrible. Well, that would have been a losing trade for me for sure. Anyway, so swing fail failed, came back down, lost our original 786, danced on this in-between level for a little while till we came down a previous structure. And then we found support here, top of range. Yeah. So top of this like little range area right here. It's accumulation zone. Right. So I don't know. The only thing I would see on this is that we come back into this range. Right. And you'd be looking at 35.42 ballpark. So let's go ahead. We'll draw that on there. But like, let's just say, like that's top around. I'm looking at these wicks right here. All right, so you also want it to make sense, right? So a level in this zone makes sense as support, support, support. Too high or too low changes everything, though. So you don't want to be too drastic with it. Let's see, low enough to encapsulate trading, but you don't want to get too aggressive. Okay, so that's what I'll put as range for now. So with that, coming back down to it, you can see how this area, so support, kind of, and then pushed all the way back up. Did find hesitation in support, came down, wick down. Now this becomes support, push back up, flip, came back down, right? And then all this is just resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. This came up, support, flipped it, back to resistance. Danced around it for a little while, crazy move, and now we're all the way back down to it. So, now, I don't want to be the one who said it, but what do we always say about breaking it? Right? You like to come back and retest it? This is your retest. How crazy is that? Now, of course, because of this, oh, really, this candle, I guess. I mean, it would be all the way back here because that was your break. That wouldn't count as too old. That's your break. Come down for a retest. Came up, failed. Pushed up resistance, pushed back up, cleared it, obviously. Didn't close above it. Now this one closed above. So this is exactly what we were talking about. Whatever that last chart, SNT or something like that. All right, so in other words, this is the line, right? So once you break and close above that, then okay, you're cool, right? You're clear to trade. Everything is good. You did get this swing fail right here. And that was unfortunate that this did not pan out. This would have been a great flip and then long. I would have played that had I been available. But, you know, whatever. Glad I didn't. Came all the way down. That's fine. Lost it. Came back. Previous structure. No problem. Came all the way back down. Paid no attention to this whatsoever and dropped all the way back. So this, believe it or not, is your retest from the breaker range, which sounds wild, but at the end of the day, right, it's really not that big a deal. Okay, look at these moves. Look at these moves. All right, look at this massive move and then all the way back down. You almost gave 100% back. Big, crazy move up. Huge freaking pullback. Probably, what, 70%? Probably further. That's probably the 786 maybe from low to high. push back up, swing fail. So that swing fail would have dropped you all the way down over to here. Broke range. Smashed up. Came all the way back down. So basically a retest. You got this accumulation zone. You push up. Right, you come back down. You retest it. Push back up again. Alright, so I'm okay with this as a retest play. But the way, this is where my mind is, the way the current market conditions have been, I wouldn't buy this until I got further confirmation. So now typically, on a typical retest, right, would have come down, would have bought this, and then would have went long with it. This one's way different. The retest didn't come until months later. That's if we can even call that a proper retest, but months later you come down, and you're coming down with a lot of momentum. Like, look at that force coming down. Massive force coming down, and because of that, I wouldn't buy this as a retest. I would probably play this level again. Wait for a close above, come back down for a retest, flip this white line, and then okay. If that happens to happen at the same time as the swing fail candle, this same trend line, this yellow one, even better. All right, even better. And in fact, we could bring this over. All right. And I don't know what this is, but we're gonna get rid of it. We're not using it, so let's get it the hell out of here. All right, so if we follow this line, I don't know what this is either, but I guess we're gonna keep this for now. I feel like whatever it's doing, it's too low anyway, right? I feel like we're gonna raise this up so it's at least hitting these wicks. More like that. Okay. So at least that represents something in between the 786 and the 86. All right, but this anyway over here. So look at that. When we drag it over, we could see that level, that white line, this candle is also the 886. So that's great. So that being said, now I feel even more confidence on this particular move. When we did come down, we got the retest, push back up. We failed where we fail at the 886. 886 also coincidentally happens to be the top of this first failed breakout. So for me, if this does hold, I'm looking for a close up above this. If it happens to happen, 1, 2, 3. So if it happens to happen today, and it would have to push up over into like the 5K zone. Oh, so that's what you're talking about, 5K for storage. Yeah, so if it were to happen to push up past that 5K zone, then I feel better about the whole trade overall being on the right side of this trend. Also flipping 47.35. So flip 47.35, flip up over our 50.23 ballpark figure for our trend down for the swing fail. Come back down for a retest, proper retest of both trend and our 47.35 level, and then sure. I'm good after that because historically it has failed between levels, right? We came up, we didn't even hit the 236, we failed at the 382, came all the way back down to the 709, came all the way back up, failed again at the 382 and the 5 and the 618. Then I'd probably be playing this almost level to level, maybe skip 2 levels. So by the 886, I might be selling 786 at 55.54. Might rebuy again, you know, maybe lower if it comes back and retest 886, push up to 709, back and forth like a little zigzag. So there's a chance that it could come up, maybe like skip 2 levels, maybe hit the 5 and then fail all the way back down to the 786. So similar to this where you were on the 786, right? You hit 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 levels. And then you came all the way back down to 1 level, right? From the 786 to the 709. Same thing. So it's, yeah. Storage definitely has the possibility, the potential to blast through 886, 786, 709, 618, come up to the 5, right, and fail, and come all the way back down and find support at the 886. Just to get one level, it could skip 4 or 5. So that's possible. Yeah, that's something to take a look at, something to keep in the back of your head. Not bad, not bad. All right, that is going to wrap it up for today. For tonight, I should say, for me, because it is 9 o'clock p.m. currently. But I do appreciate everyone showing up and coming out and hanging with me for a little while we did the weekly and the daily candle close. So it is Sunday for me. We have a couple more days, and then I'll be gone again for a little while. And then, like I said, end of May, June, I'm sort of back to full swing. So anything that happens really between now and June is just not unplanned, but it's less I don't know what the word is, less stringent, right? A little bit more loose. Have some more structure in place come June. All right, but until then, I want to see you guys on the exchanges, and happy trading.